Hi, I'm Brian. Kettle's on, make yourself a cup of tea. Now today I want to talk about Doctor Who. And as we all know, Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker are both leaving and Russel T Davies is returning to the show. What Russel T Davies is going to bring to it is yet to be seen. Is he going to continue with Chris Chibnall's complete retconning of the Doctor's history, or is he going to undo the Timeless Child storyline and reinstate William Hartnell as the First Doctor? Because, let's be honest, William Hartnell is the First Doctor. He's the first Doctor on screen, and in the history of Doctor Who, he's always been the First Doctor. But Chris Chibnall decided that that wasn't important and completely threw out 60 years of history of the show. But Chris Chibnall himself expects Russel T Davies to ignore his changes, as this article on Radio Times says. Chris Chibnall expects Russel T Davies to ignore his changes to Doctor Who. You've got to get in there and say what you want about the show, the outgoing showrunner tells Radio Times. I hope Russel T Davies does not just ignore what he's done to the show, the changes he's made, but I hope he takes it back to how it used to be and completely does away with the stupidity of what the Timeless Child storyline was supposed to be. It's not an origin story fans wanted. It was just something Chris Chibnall decided to do, I think, and the show's audience and dwindling viewing figures proved it didn't work. Fans didn't like it, they stopped tuning in, and Doctor Who now is a complete shambles and a shadow of its former self. But let's see what the article has to say. Outgoing Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall has almost finished with the BBC sci-fi series, with just this week's Easter special and a centenary episode this autumn to go before he and star Jodie Whittaker hand in their TARDIS keys. And Chibnall was in a reflective mood when he recently caught up with Radio Times, looking back on his time making the show, as well as the sometimes controversial changes he made to Doctor Who lore, including a new backstory for Jodie Whittaker's Time Lord. It was a backstory that wasn't needed, and it was a backstory which completely done away with the history of the show and was a big middle finger to the fans. Some fans would have liked to change. I know most old Doctor Who fans didn't. I, for one, stopped watching it before the Timeless Child episode, but I do know of the story and it is ridiculous. But let's continue with the article. You're not carrying a vase across a room. You've got to get in there and say what you want about the show, the character and the world, Chibnall says. It's one of the few drama series without a written Bible. Every era contains a contradiction or left turn for what has come before. Any future showrunner will ignore it or run with it. Yes, there has been contradictions in Doctor Who before, I'm not going to deny that. But up until Chris Chibnall came along, each showrunner has stuck by what's happened before. William Hartnell being the First Doctor, things the Doctor has done in the past. Stephen Moffat's a good example for it. He retconned the Doctor being the last of the Time Lords. He brought back Gallifrey and made it so the Doctor knew he hadn't wiped out his race. But he respected what came before it. He respected the Time War which Russel T Davies set up. He respected the Doctors that came before in classic Doctor Who. He didn't just forget everything, throw it out the window and say, nah, I'm going to do what I want to do, and if the fans don't like it, we'll call them names, it's tough. Which is pretty much what Chris Chibnall did when he retconned the show with the Timeless Child and making William Hartnell whatever number of Doctor he thought he was going to make him, but William Hartnell will always be the First Doctor to many fans. But back on with the article. Of course, we know that the next showrunner is taking over is none other than former series boss Russel T Davies, and Chibnall says he already knows which way the wind is blowing. Oh, I fully expect Russell to ignore it, he laughs. I mean, he laughs because he knows more than likely it's going to be true. Russel T Davies probably knows it's best for the show to ignore what he's done and get back to what Doctor Who fans want. He's got to somehow get rid of the Timeless Child. I'm sure he'll find a way to do it. And he's got to get rid of all the political preaching and just get back to classic Doctor Who stories, which is what fans of the show want. More generally, Chibnall heaps praise on Davies for returning to steer the Doctor Who ship once more, over a decade after he originally stepped back from showrunning duties. Everyone should have a big smile on their face, he says. Russell is one of the elite showrunners, and who is very lucky to have him. especially off the back of his Sin, one of the greatest shows of all time. For him to have incredible ideas and passion for it, to want to take it forward again, that's fab. Nobody has greater love for Doctor Who. His advice for his successor, the same as he gave me. Enjoy it. I absolutely loved it. It's such a privilege. Few people have done it, and you're standing in the footsteps of those people across 60 years now. I mean, Chris Chibnall wasn't really so much standing in the footsteps. He was rubbing the footprints away. He wanted to completely ruin what Doctor Who was and make it his own. He tried to do it, but as I said, the viewing figures for the show dramatically bombed while he was in charge. And I think it proved that the way he was taking it didn't work. The fact that BBC's had to go back to Russel T Davies, who was responsible for bringing the show back in the 2000s, I think that shows the state the show is in. And Russel T Davies has full creative control, I believe, get to do what he wants, and hopefully he will ignore what Chris Chibnall's done and restore Doctor Who to at least somewhat what it used to be, somewhat more recognisable to what the Doctor was and should be. But what do you guys think? Do you think Chris Chibnall's run deserves to be ignored? Would you like to see Russel T Davies carrying it forward? Do let me know in the comments below. And that's all from me. I'm about to make a fresh cup of tea.